I represented her in that case, and that's how we met. And so, I mean, I had Pam on, and we've both worked a lot in deception detection and interrogation techniques and stuff. And so and it came right at a time when, Jussie Smollett is in the news about is he telling the truth or is he not telling the truth? And then here we have this conversation about.
What did you think immediately when you heard that story?
I was very suspicious when I heard that story.
Yeah, Jamie and I, we once the cameras were off, we're like, are these off? Fuck that guy. That ain't real. It was just too much like a movie.
Yeah.
It was a bad movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's 9 below zero, and 2 people are lying in wait just in hopes that he might come by at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean,
strange.
Yeah, it was suspicious. And, he's entitled to due process, and he's going to get it.
Yeah, he's going to get it. Now he's saying he has some untreated drug problem. So he's trying to carve out some path to explain his bizarre behavior.
But there are very specific lie behaviors that people can't really control. And,
like what kind of stuff?
Well, for example, when people are really desperately trying to convince you they're telling the truth, they'll do a lot of times what are called convincing statements. Rather than just telling you what they did or didn't do, they'll do convincing statements like, "You know me." Like somebody saying, somebody stole the petty cash in the office. I say, "You know me. I give more money. I donate more money than was stolen. I mean, you guys know me. I mean, I was Employee of the Week last year." They're just convincing you that they're this nice guy. And then they'll say...
That's not what someone does if they're wrongly accused?
No.
What does someone do if they're wrongly accused?
If they're wrongly accused, they'll look you straight up in the eye and tell you, "I didn't do it." And if you ask them, "What do you think should happen to somebody that did?" an innocent person will say, "I think they should be found. I think they should be held fully accountable to the extent of the law." Somebody that's guilty will say, "Well, I don't know. I mean, people make mistakes. I mean, you got to give a guy a second chance."
Do you worry that in coaching that you're essentially coaching liars by telling people this kind of stuff, and someone who does steal the money, would be able to kind of like, hey,
it's not for amateurs, and when there are some things that you can tell people to watch for, but one of the things you do if there's somebody that you suspect is you increase their cognitive load during the interrogation, and there's no way you can prepare for that.
Oh, how do you do that?
Well, you plant a mind virus, for example.
Ooh, a mind virus. I like it.
Yeah.
This is some Perry Mason type shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
Like...
Let's pretend some money's missing.
Yeah. If I said to you, "Is there any reason somebody would have told me that they saw you near that cash box about the time it went missing?"
Dum dum dum.
Okay. Now, people talk at 125 words a minute. They think at 12 to 1,400 words a minute. Now, if it takes you five seconds to tell me no, you took the money.
Ooh.
Because if
I'm
you
getting
weren't
nervous right now.
Because if you didn't take it, you didn't take it. You don't need to run scenarios through your head to think, who could have seen me? What could it have been? I mean, I didn't see anybody. Nobody could have seen me. But if you didn't do it, it doesn't take you 1 millisecond to say, absolutely not.
Have you ever been wrong before, where you see someone on television and you go, "I think that guy's guilty," and they're innocent, or vice versa?
Oh, sure. Because if you really want to know for sure if somebody is guilty or innocent, you need to invest a lot of time. You need to get a baseline on what they normally look like, talk like, feel like, and then knowing that baseline, you then need to compare how they're behaving on TV. So just walking by the screen and seeing it, you might see things that would ordinarily be lie behaviors that could just be part of their personality. So if you're going to really make a judgment, you got to put a lot of time in and figure it out. And what you should do before you decide you're going to be a human lie detector is do your homework, and you ought to try to figure it out objectively before you figure it out behaviorally. I mean, you ought to do your investigation, find out if somebody took the money, and, find out where they were, and, look for fingerprints and do this and do that. I mean, you ought to really objectively figure it out before you rely on these things. And so unless you get a baseline and get one-on-one with them and spend a lot of time, then you can't be really certain that you know whether they're telling the truth or whether they're not. It would be fun if it was that easy. And now, some people are pretty obvious.
Yeah, I heard a cop once say that when people are guilty, they tend to plead and cry, and then when they're not guilty, they tend to get angry when they're accused.
People that are wrongly accused are generally irate from the beginning till the end. I mean, every case is different, but if you're wrongly accused, that person is going to be pissed off from the minute you accuse them till the end, because it's like they're self-righteous. Like, I didn't do this, and you're saying I did, and screw you.
Yeah.
And they don't take a step back. And when you see people, they do these convincing statements, and they're pleading for you to believe them, and then anytime somebody says, now, in all honesty, usually the next thing out of their mouth's a lie. Like they say to you, now, Joe, honestly, as opposed to everything else you've been telling me,
right.
I mean, why are we're bracketing this one out as honest?
Right.
Or if they invoke the deity.
Oh.
I swear to
witness.
God.
Yeah.
God as my witness.
Mm.
And, I don't know whether I have not done what I said you need to do with Jussie Smollett, but I do know when he went to the set at Fox, he said, "You all know me. I swear to God, I didn't do this."
Mm.
And, I mean, there were like 3 or 4 of those kind of statements in like 2 or 3 sentences there.
Well, my favorite one was he's on stage. He called himself the gay Tupac. That's enough for me.
That's a little narcissistic.
It's a strange thing, though. Like, there was another one today. A guy lit his house on fire, I think in Chicago, and said he's a gay fella. Said it was a hate crime, and they caught him. There's a lot of that going on, Yeah. A lot of fake crime.
Yeah.
Very strange. And then sometimes people accuse people of something, and someone will say, "Why would someone make something up? Why would someone turn themselves into a victim?" Well, there's a lot of clout in being a victim, especially today. You get a lot of attention, a lot of love. I think there's a lot of false accusations and false attacks, and there's a lot of real ones. But, man, when the false ones come, it just does a giant disservice to everybody.
Well, there's a fair amount of research as to why people do these hoaxes, and particularly hate crime hoaxes. And one of the primary motivations, of course, it's sympathy and attention and all that. But one of the interesting reasons that I've read in the research is that they really feel like it's emblematic of how the system treats them overall. This is just a dramatic example of it. I mean, they feel like I'm treated this way anyhow.
So they're just...
I'm discriminated against. I suffer bias. I'm put down. This is just a focused example of that. So I'm really not lying. I'm just role-playing how I'm overall treated.
Oh, wow.
So they justify it in their mind if they're just going to bring all this treatment into one example to bring it into focus. And so while it's a phony deal, it really is truthful representation of what their life is really like. They justify it in that way.
Oh, how weird.
Yeah,
That's some deep psychological shit right there.
Yeah, that's stretching.
But that's a weird one. When you write it out like that, put it in your mind that way.
Yeah.
Wow. It's strange too because it gives people this this giant public show to watch now.
Yeah. And I hate that. I mean, what a talented young man. I mean,
is he?
The times that I've seen, I don't watch that show a lot, but the times I've seen him on there singing and assuming it is his voice and he's singing, extremely talented young man.
I find a lot of talented people are fucking crazy.
Well, somebody said that the really talented singers and actors were the weird kids from high school that were in drama and all of that.
Oh, for sure.
Real friends.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, various levels of crazy. Obviously, not all deceptive, but some of the most brilliant actors are just completely out of their mind, and that's one of the reasons why they're so good at acting. Is because they can look. My friend Wayne Fetterman had a bit that he did about it on stage, and he's like, "Guess what? It's not fucking normal to be able to just cry."
Yeah.
He goes, "You could just cry and pretend something's wrong and cry." He was like, "That's crazy. These are crazy people."
Yeah, and you really can't go to a certain place if you don't have a little of that in you. My dad used to always say when he's working with patients, he would say, "There's something about that old boy I can't stand about me." Because he'd say, you can't see it in them if you don't have a little of it in you.
Yeah.
And I think there's some truth in that.
Oh, there's 100% truth in that. That is the thing that drives me the craziest about weak people. I'm so terrified of seeing weakness and just being pathetic. I'm so terrified of seeing that in myself. I see it in other people, and it smells. I smell it like a drug sniffing dog. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, you smell desperation.
Yeah.
Weakness.